he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause outright, okay? Charlie was done. Charlie did not die pro-Israel. He did not die for Israel. He did not martyr himself as a friend of Israel. In fact, the friends of Israel were pressuring him.
Shots have been fired, and it looks like Candace Owens is going beast mode against Turning Point USA. Or is this just another layer in the psychological operation?
Why isn't Turning Point USA making any statements and shutting down this repeat attempt by Israel to lie and to pretend that towards the end, Charlie was just authoring love letters to Israel? I don't know how the executives over at Turning Point USA sleep at night. I'm going to challenge Turning Point USA executives to issue a very clean statement saying that I am lying if this is not true. About 48 hours before Charlie Kirk died, Charlie informed people at Turning Point, as well as Jewish donors and a rabbi, that he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause outright, okay? Charlie was done. Yeah, I'm putting the fire here right at the feet of Turning Point because I am disgusted. I am genuinely disgusted. I am looking around and wondering whether Charlie's entire life was the Truman Show.
If this is just another layer in the psychological operation, what is the play here? And because none of us is greater than all of us, I think we can put our heads together and try to figure this out. But I think it's very important to remind everybody that the cult of personality is strong. Stop following personalities. Just follow and be devoted to and loyal to the truth. You don't want to be loyal to a personality. I don't care who it is. In my opinion, the first step in ripping ourselves out of the cult of personality and safeguarding ourselves from getting into the cult of personality is just to be honest with our own hearts. If you see something that's not right, you got to be willing to call it out for the sake of truth and then just let the truth chips fall where they may. Now, while she spent the bulk of her entire social media career promoting the right side of the left versus right paradigm lie, imagine my shock when I heard Candace Owens say,
"Politics sickens me. It really does." Everybody who has a little a wish out there, oh, Candace, like jump into politics. I hate these people. I hate everybody involved in politics. It is all about money, okay? They all sell their souls for money, and there are no real relationships, and I hope that you are learning that. If you're getting a lesson about that right now, and it's not left or right, I think, which is something that I learned. It is not left or right. It is just individuals selling their souls.
So let me get this straight. Politics, which Candace has been one of many promoters and propagandists of, sickens her? She hates everybody involved in politics? It's all about money and they all sell their souls for money? And then she has the gall to say she hopes we're learning that?
And I hope that you are learning that.
You got to understand something. Up until the point where Piers Morgan interviewed her just a couple months back, she didn't regret voting for Trump. And why was that? Because Trump was a better liar in her mind than Biden. So how long has she hated everybody involved in politics? She said in this interview that she's embarrassed that she told people to vote for him. She said she told people basically tyranny under Trump wasn't going to happen, but it is happening.
Are you done with Donald Trump, or could you see a way that you would end up perhaps voting for him? Oh, you can't run again, obviously, but would you support him publicly again?
So I want to be clear. I don't regret voting for Donald Trump above Kamala. I think he was the better candidate, certainly a better candidate above Joe Biden. But what I will say is that he's been a chronic disappointment. And I feel embarrassed that I told people to go vote for him because this wasn't going to happen and it is happening.
Hey, Candace, I hate to break it to you, but people on the side of freedom have told you guys for years that that's exactly what you're going to get no matter who you vote for. Left, right, Republican, Democrat, they're just all clowns who are controlled by the same puppet masters, the same centralized banking cartel puppet masters. And you know this. Almost immediately after Charlie Kirk's death, Candace Owens said that Charlie was having a change of heart regarding Israel.
That Charlie was having a change of heart about the tactics that Israel was using in America, and that he felt when he had left that meeting that he had effectively been blackmailed.
But just yesterday on her own show, Candace admits that it wasn't just a change of heart. Charlie had shifted entirely on the subject of Israel.
Charlie Kirk's perspective on Israel was not starting to shift. It had shifted entirely. Okay? There are no ifs and there are no ands and there are no buts about it.
I think Candace is asking some really good questions that need to be asked and answered. But the head scratcher for me is that Candace insisted that the letter that Charlie wrote or supposedly wrote to Bibi Netanyahu was severely misrepresented. Let's just take a listen.
First and foremost, that letter he is holding up, he is severely misrepresenting. Those sentences are real, but I am calling upon Bibi Netanyahu, the dear friend to Charlie Kirk, to publish the letter's entire contents. Like, don't start with just 2 sentences. Publish the entire thing. You're holding it. I'm saying you're severely misrepresenting the contents, that in May, Charlie was concerned about Israel and their influence on American politics and how they were pushing things that he felt were in conflict with his beliefs, free speech here in America. Bibi's holding it up like Charlie just in May said, hey, you know what? I just want to write a love letter to Israel. That's how it was presented. Would you guys agree? That's not how it happened.
Except the entire letter was released. It's a 7-page letter, and I will leave a link in the description if you want to read it in its entirety. But I want to read it at least partially, the first 2 paragraphs of the first page, because that is exactly what Charlie says down here. He says, the purpose of this letter is to lay out our concerns and outline potential remedies. Everything written here is from a place of deep love. You can see it right here. Deep love for Israel and the Jewish people. So he starts off, Dear Mr. Prime Minister, one of my greatest joys as a Christian is advocating for Israel and forming alliances with Jews in the fight to protect Judeo-Christian civilization. Most recently, I am proud to have taken over Ambassador Huckabee's show on TBN, where we continually support Israel and the Jewish people. As Mohammedanism spreads in Western societies, it's critical that Jews and Christians stay united in the effort to contain and roll back the radical Islam and Sharia law. I regret to report that anti-Israel and anti-Semitic trends are at record levels on social media. These negative statements then flow downstream into college campuses and even seep into the conservative MAGA community. But this second part is where you really need to pay attention, because if Charlie Kirk actually wrote this, this is something worth considering. My team and I have spent months analyzing these trends and debating ideas that could help you and your country push back against these disturbing developments. What disturbing developments? That people are actually viewing Israel in a negative light. And Charlie Kirk, if he wrote this letter, is saying it's disturbing that Americans are not thinking too kindly of Israel. And then Charlie Kirk says anti-Israel sentiment can undermine American support for Israel. We don't want that, Charlie says. The purpose of this letter is to lay out our concerns and outline potential remedies. So he's going to give Bibi Netanyahu some ideas on how Israel can influence the minds of Americans so we can think more positively about Israel. But Candace Owens is saying, nope, he had a change of heart, an entire shift on his thought about Israel. The purpose of this letter is to lay out our concerns and outline potential remedies. Everything written here is from a place of deep love for Israel and the Jewish people. I think it's important to be brutally honest with those you love. Hey, I love you, Bibi. I love Israel, so you got to do these things so that the American people can love you too. In my opinion, Israel is losing the information war and needs a, quote, communications intervention. That's Charlie Kirk. And it just seems to me that Candace Owens is denying a key thought that Charlie Kirk had in wanting to defend Israel, at least in May of 2025. But Candace Owens seems to think that Bibi Netanyahu severely misrepresented what Charlie Kirk wrote. And if you look at the entire 7-page document, if it truly did come from Charlie Kirk, he was pedal to the metal for Israel. to such an extent because Charlie thought that Israel was losing the information war. He gave 5 specific things that Israel could do to impact and influence positively the minds of Americans, including revamp social media strategies, have authentic content, in other words, produce man-on-the-street interviews with everyday Israelis to humanize the nation's perspective. Number 3, hostage tours. Charlie Kirk suggested to Bibi Netanyahu that he organize public appearances by releasing hostages to share their experiences and garner sympathy. It sounds like Charlie Kirk is saying, hey, you need to be better liars to the American people so they can support you. Number 4, highlight mutual benefits. Emphasize U.S.-Israel shared interests like countering Iran, strengthening American support. And number 5, expand communications teams. Charlie Kirk said that Israel needs to move beyond a small spokesperson staff and reliance on U.S. surrogates for more effective, direct messaging. Basically, Charlie Kirk was giving Israel the playbook on how they can propagandize the minds or lie to and conduct a public relations campaign against Americans for the benefit of Israel. So I'm not entirely understanding why Candace is saying what she's saying other than these clips right here that makes you go, God, what the hell is going on here? Because it really does sound like Charlie Kirk was having a change of heart on Israel.
So let me just kind of go through this. We don't talk about Israeli politics very often, and most Americans don't know this. The last 9 months, Israel was on the brink of civil war. It's not an exaggeration. This judicial stuff, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu is basically redefining the Israeli constitution. That's not an exaggeration, right? He said the judicial branch has too much power. There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead. I'm not willing to go so far that saying that Netanyahu knew or there was intelligence here. But I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand down order? Was there a stand down order? 6 hours? I don't believe it. Israel's the size of New Jersey. When I took a helicopter ride from Jerusalem to the Gaza border, it's 45 minutes. Wow. 6 hours. They're live streaming the killing of Jews. Did somebody in the government say stand down? That is a legitimate non-conspiracy question. The whole country is the IDF. The whole country is. Yeah. And you're trying to tell me that they're going to concerts and kibbutzes and schools and by reports 6 hours. Let's say it's 3 hours.
That's suspect. Go ahead, Rob.
It's also not like a right-wing reporting. This is from the New York Times. The long wait for...
This is what he said on Megyn Kelly's show.
I'm an American citizen. Yes, I want Israel to win. Yes, I'm a Christian. But like some of the mess, and you've seen how I've been treated, Megyn, by some, not all, by some.
No, it's very irritating.
It's
been so unfair. They were coming after you after Turning Point for, among other things, that you had Dave Smith there. Dave Smith is allowed to criticize Israel. You had both sides. The Israeli side was overrepresented.
Though. No, you're not allowed to. It's even worse than that. Again, I just want to repeat for the 5th time. I love Israel. I want Israel to win. But my moral character is now being put into question, Megyn. Not my decisions. Not like, hey, are you doing this? Is it smart or is it dumb? But no, I am a bad person if I do this.
Can't you also be rightly considered a bad person by giving Israel ideas on how to propagandize, i.e., how to lie to Americans to get them to think more positively about Israel and the influence that they have and the power and the control that they have all over the world? Can't you be considered a bad person by pushing and promoting that kind of propaganda, Charlie?
And I could go, you saw it, Megyn. It was trending on Twitter, thousands of tweets and text messages. And if I were to be charitable and generous, I will say the people that are attacking me are in a hyper paranoid state because they're at war, and war tends to make things black and white, and you're a hammer looking for a nail. So I'm trying to be charitable, Megyn. Literally, I'm trying to cut as much slack as I can, right? They go, okay, what would it be like if all of a sudden I'm starting to see a pattern of behavior similar to what my grandparents saw in 1930s Germany online. How would I behave? So that's like my charitable kind of overcompensation spirit. At the same time, I'm like, but it's not defensible to be dumb.
Now we go back to Candace's initial reaction to Charlie's letter to Bibi Netanyahu.
But I don't like little lies. That's what I will say. Something that I always say in my household is when there is one lie, there's 20. There's no reason to lie. Bibi could have gone on Fox News and he could have told the truth. He could have said truthfully that Charlie Kirk has always loved Israel. He has always loved Israel as the Holy Land. He's been here many times. And throughout his career, he has been a faithful supporter of Israel. That's not what he said. Okay. He talks about the phone call and didn't give it the proper context. He held up the letter and didn't give it the proper context. And lies by severe omission, I'd like to be very clear, are lies.
But you can now get the full letter. Again, that link will be in the description. I encourage you to read it, and you tell me what you think about how Charlie Kirk felt about Israel.
Lies by severe omission are lies. You're not going to gaslight us and tell us to shut up or call us anti-Semitic for pointing out the fact that Charlie was having a change of heart about the tactics that Israel was using in America, and that he felt when he had left that meeting that he had effectively been blackmailed.
According to Candace, right after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, she says that Charlie Kirk was having, present tense, a change of heart. And then that shifted to yesterday's broadcast, where she says that he was not starting to shift. He had shifted entirely away from Israel and from the Jewish donors. And that's where we pick up from Candace's broadcast from yesterday. Listen to this.
Do you want to know something else that was brand new leading up to this event? Charlie's perspective on Israel. Okay, so let me say this so you can hear it. Charlie Kirk's perspective on Israel was not starting to shift. It had shifted entirely. Okay, there are no ifs and there are no ands and there are no buts about it. Israel knew that. Turning Point USA knew that because Charlie was explicit. So my question is, why isn't Turning Point USA making any statements and shutting down this repeat attempt by Israel to lie and to pretend that towards the end, Charlie was just authoring love letters to Israel, giving them a perspective of here's how we can win here's what you guys need to do. You need to work with this Hillel, whatever it is. Yeah, the same people that are calling me anti-Semitic, you need to work with those people harder. And he was just putting it on paper. Was it an email? What was that they were sharing on the New York Post, the Israeli Post, right? What were they sharing there? He wrote of his deep love for Israel. He had nothing else to do in May. Wrote of his deep love for Israel to a letter to Netanyahu. Netanyahu said they were close, but in the letter, Charlie puts his number, which apparently Netanyahu didn't have his number. And we're supposed to believe, did he send that as an email, by the way? Can somebody clarify? Was that an email they were sharing? Or did he send it in the mail to him? Could somebody share that, please? I'm assuming it was an email. Can someone share the timestamp on that? Just kind of like authenticate that email. Because I'm very aware of what's going on, okay? And I don't know how the executives over at Turning Point USA sleep at night.
So is she saying that this letter, which starts with this page right here, is she saying that this letter is not genuine? Is she saying it's not authentic? So when he says everything written here is from a place of deep love for Israel and the Jewish people, is she questioning if that even comes from Charlie Kirk? Is that what's going on here? If these truly are the thoughts of Charlie Kirk in a letter to Bibi Netanyahu, then that's the way Charlie Kirk was thinking, at least on May 2nd when he wrote this. May, June, July, August, September. So he dies 4.5 months later, a little less than 4.5 months later. Did he hold these same views? Did he have a place of deep love for Israel? Or did he shift entirely away from Israel? Was he, in the words of Candace Owens, done with Israel? These are the confusing parts right here. And this is where this psychological operation comes in, because even though Candace Owens says she is sick of politics, she hates everybody in politics, they're all on the They've sold their souls. They've done it for money. It sounds like she's grouping everybody together, including the politicians, including the pundits, which would be her own friends, which would be people in TPUSA, the Brandon Tatums of the world, the Ben Shapiros, the Daily Wires. Is she grouping everybody in that? I can't assume something different because she said they're all in it for money. They've all sold their souls.
Okay. I don't know how you can present.
Which we know that. We know that you have to sell your soul. You have to demoralize yourself to peddle left versus right politics.
I don't know how you can present yourselves as a Christian organization and not be dedicating yourself to the truth. No matter what the cost is, you tell the truth. That's it. Okay. You don't hide it. You don't try to obfuscate it. You don't try to say, well, wait until the memorial event before we start looking into who murdered him. You tell the truth and you tell it immediately.
Then why weren't you telling the truth immediately before Charlie Kirk got axed? It sounds like you had insider information of what was really going on. You and Charlie could have come forward before all this stuff happened, so that when it does happen, it can be even more obvious that somebody had a motive to take him out. Unbelievable that she's gonna ride the horse into town of, if you have the truth, you need to come out with it immediately, when it doesn't seem like she's entirely interested in becoming forthcoming with the truth.
Don't think they're capable of doing that. And I have an idea as to why that is. I think the same people that were pressuring Charlie are pressuring them. In fact, I know that for a fact. So they might need my help. Okay. I'm going to state this, and I'm going to challenge Turning Point USA executives to issue a very clean statement saying that I am lying if this is not true.
Who's the top executive of TPUSA right now after the passing of Charlie Kirk? It's Erika Kirk. So if she's challenging TPUSA executives, she's also challenging Erika Kirk. Tell me that what I'm saying is false, or verify that it's true. Ball is in your court. This is the ultimatum of Candace Owens to TPUSA, and this is serious. Because why is this serious? Because TPUSA, as an organization, as these executives gather together, influence a large number of people. You're not talking about just a couple million. You're talking about tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of people worldwide. That's how serious this is.
About 48 hours before Charlie Kirk died, Charlie informed people at Turning Point, as well as Jewish donors and a rabbi, that he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause outright. Okay? Charlie was done.
Abandon the pro-Israel cause? Charlie was done with Israel? And he put it in no uncertain terms? You have to substantiate that. Assertion without substantiation is the height of ignorance.
He said it explicitly, that he refused to be bullied anymore.
He said it explicitly where? Where did he say this? What's the proof? If you make that kind of assertion or accusation, or you bring that kind of idea to the table, it's up to the bringer of the accusation or the assertion to back that up, right?
By the Jewish donors? Can you guys answer? Did he express that? Did he also express that he wanted to bring me, Candace Owens, back because he was standing up for himself? And then did he, just 48 hours later, conveniently catch a bullet to the throat before our onstage reunion could happen? It's a yes or a no. Okay, let's stop this ditching. Let's stop the dodging. Let's explicitly, I want to hear from Turning Point USA that I'm lying about that. I want you to say, no, it was just, he was feeling a little bit of pressure. No, I want you to literally answer what I have just said. It either happened or it didn't. I'm either making it all up or it happened exactly as I'm saying. And while we're at it.
Well, wait, while we're at it, if you don't have the proof, you might as well be making it up. If you can't prove to people what you're saying, Candace, I am not pro TPUSA. I am anti TPUSA because TPUSA is pro left versus right paradigm lie, which is the cancer and bane of society. But if you bring that kind of idea or assertion, you got to back it up. You got to have something to back it up.
May I ask, what is the name of the Jewish donor who sponsored the Hamptons weekend? okay? And to Pastor Rob McCoy, were there any LLCs that you or your son were being paid through that sat outside of Turning Point? I'm asking that question genuinely. Yeah, I'm putting the fire here right at the feet of Turning Point because I am disgusted. I am genuinely disgusted. I am looking around and wondering whether Charlie's entire life was the Truman Show. None of you guys are behaving in the way that you should be behaving, okay? There is no way you are letting these lies fly unless, as I am hearing, unless it is true that there was a big payday that was on the line. And if Charlie radically stated that he was done with Israel, if Charlie said he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause because of, and I quote, Jewish donors, the behavior of Jewish donors, if he said that, yes or no, well then, I don't know, maybe some people didn't want to take that risk that he was going to, become Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson?
And I quote, Candace, where are you quoting this from?
At Turning Point USA, with all of those presences, so much presence across college campuses, maybe they didn't want to take the chance. You see, I'm just one person, so it's easy to just try to cancel my life and lie on me every second of every day. But Turning Point USA, I think, got a little bit bigger than Charlie, and I'm no longer going to allow this lie in this narrative. So answer the questions, yes or no. And I'm going to again.
Wait, you're no longer going to allow this lie? I mean, by implication, that means up to this point, you have allowed this lie? Why? I thought you said it was the responsibility of truth tellers to tell the truth immediately. Not obscure, not abscond, not misrepresent, but to actually release the truth into the public immediately. So are you saying you've been hiding and covering up a lie? Why?
Challenge you to lie.
And if you have been, how can we trust you right now? I mean, for the past 2 elections, you've been leading your massive audience into this, hey, vote right because it's better. Vote poop soup. Don't vote turd sandwich. And that's what the left and right offering is. It's the illusion of choice. It makes the slaves on the plantation think that they have power to steer the vessel of their own life for voting for this slave master because he's going to beat us less and he's going to help us keep more of our income. And it never happens. It's a false dichotomy. It's a false choice. And Candace Owens has been promoting the politics that she now claims to hate, but it seems like she's still playing games. I want to just kick the ball in your court. Do you think she's playing games, or do you think she's being forthright? Do you think she's being honest? Is this a person who you think is trustworthy? If she couldn't tell that Donald Trump was a fraud, just like Kamala Harris is a fraud, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, they're all frauds. If she couldn't tell that Donald Trump was a fraud, then in the next election cycle, when they come up with somebody who's a little bit more articulate, a little more politically savvy, a little bit more intelligent, a little bit more deceptive, how can we trust that Candace Owens isn't going to also lead her future audience down the path of wreck and ruin like she led her past audience off the cliff?
And if you do lie, I'm going to expose the lies, and I'm going to start dropping videos, actually. So that's where I'm at. Enough of the games, enough with trying to allow Israel to wrangle a narrative that you know is not true.
So now she's given an ultimatum and she's issuing threats. You don't do this, I'm going to start dropping videos. But really, in reality, how it works is if somebody like Candace Owens brings something to the forefront, it's up to her to prove that it's true. It's not up to the other party, in this case, TPUSA, to prove it's not true.
Charlie did not die pro-Israel. He did not die for Israel. He did not martyr himself as a friend of Israel. In fact, the friends of Israel were pressuring him really badly, and he was done, and he finally stood up for himself. And I'm proud of that. And I will say this, you know what? Somewhere, Charlie is watching, okay? And I hope he knows that we are reunited, okay? We're on stage right now, and the Jewish donors are very angry about it, extremely angry about it. But it feels good to know that in the end, truth is going to win, so.
You got to understand, Candace is asserting here that Charlie was done with Israel. She's already said it several times.
Accept my challenge or don't.
Now she goes into a big long ad read, and then she says this.
Hope I've made myself clear. I'm done dancing. I am done dancing with all of these frauds. It's just unbelievable. It really is unbelievable.
You're done dancing? But you've danced with frauds and now you're done dancing because reasons? What is going on here?
Do me a favor. Don't ever let anybody try to speak out who just tortured me my whole life and then pretend to say something nice. Please don't do that. Just call them out on being hideous individuals. You know, when you end up in a world where like a couple of days before Charlie Kirk dies, someone like Laura Loomer is calling him anti-Semite and she's funded by one of Charlie's donors, Bob Shillman, who then does a 180 and is now pretending
Bob Shillman
that she is morally fighting me to stop researching into Charlie's murder. You know exactly what kind of world you live in. Politics sickens me. It really does. Everybody who has a wish out there, oh, Candace, like jump into politics. I hate these people. I hate everybody involved in politics. It is all about money. Okay. They all sell their souls for money and there are no real relationships. And I hope that you are learning that. If you're getting a lesson about that right now and it's not left or right. I think, which is something that I learned. It is not left or right. It is just individuals selling their souls.
We have been saying this for years. We have been shouting from the mountaintops. And Candace has known this, and she tries to shut down or at least shut out voices like ours. And you're just now, how can you follow somebody who all their lives looks like they've been on the payroll of these really evil people, and now she's coming out against them because, you know, for whatever reason, it just doesn't make any sense and it doesn't look like a principled position to me. And I just want to leave you with this right here. If anybody knew, according to Erika Kirk, if anybody knew the inner workings of what was going on inside the mind of Charlie Kirk as it related to his relationship with Israel, it would be a person who is the number one confidant of Charlie Kirk, and that's his wife.
I was Charlie's confidant. I was his vault. His closest and most trusted advisor, his best friend.
And now the top executive of TPUSA, who Candace Owens is calling out. What's going on here? Is this an extra layer in the psychological operation? Because it sounds like there's a whole lot of things that sounds like they were right. It sounds like Charlie Kirk was waking up. It sounds like Candace Owens is awake or getting aroused from slumber. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comments section below. None of us is greater than all of us. If you want to support this channel, you can do it for free. Just like this video, share this video with everybody you know. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, and I will see you in the next video.